Hi, it's Pavel with Visual Basic homework or an exercise. This one is from a book Introduction to Programming using Visual Basic, Chapter 5, Exercise or a project, they call it 4. We are given 7 proverbs and we are supposed to write a program that presents each of them one at a time and asks the user to evaluate them as true or false. In other words, we will display one of the proverbs and ask the user to evaluate it. Is it true or is it false? Now, the program should then tell the user how many questions were answered correctly and display one of the following evaluations. Perfect if all answers were correct, excellent if 5 or 6 are correct, or you might consider taking Psychology 101 if less than 5 are correct. I guess that's a programmer's humor. No, whatever. Anyway, uh, this is what we will be building. I have a form that simply say true, T, or false, and a text box with max length of 1. In other words, it only allows for one character to be entered. In our case, it will be T for true or F for false. There is a button that will simply say display proverb number 1. When clicked, then it will ask, click, display proverb number 2, number 3, and so forth. After the button is clicked, the proverb will be displayed right here in the label, and then the user will click display answer, which will display the correct answer in the other text box. So, for example, I entered true here, and display answer will evaluate whether the answer I entered is correct or not, and display it over here in this text box. All right, here's my proverbs. These are the 7 proverbs we were given. I enter them in an array of string. All right, so there's 7 of them. If you don't know anything about arrays, basically proverbs is a variable that has, in our case, 7 different values. Each value is separated by a comma, and we can access each of the values using an index of the array. So this would be index 0. It starts from 0. This is index 1, index 2, and so forth. And the last one is index 6. Again, we have 7 proverbs in it, but since it starts on 0, 0 based, the last index is number 6. The way I decided to do this, we could do another array that would hold an answer, true or false, for each of these proverbs. For example, the proverb says, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and that's a correct proverb. That's how it is. So it's evaluated as true, and I could have an array that would kind of sync it, like a synchronized. It would hold true. Then for this one, the second element, it would hold true again, because giving is better than receiving is true. Over here, spare the rod and spoil the child. I thought it was true, but they say it's false. Whatever. Anyway, the way I decided to do is uh, I will be using a substring to get the whether it's true or false, the correct answer. I entered a T or an F in front of each of the proverbs. So, for example, the first letter in each of the proverbs shows whether it's a true, that's a T, or whether it's a F, it's a false. So, in other words, I'll be extracting just this one letter to determine whether the user entered correct or incorrect answer. All right, so here's the form. Like I said, here's the proverbs. I already entered them just so you don't have to watch me, entering them, and we can get to do some coding, I guess. Now, there's another variable I will need. I will need a counter that will count um, what which of the indexes or which of the proverbs need to be displayed. So I will do the counter as an integer, And finally, I also need dim correct answers as integer. This will hold how many answers the user entered correctly and how many were incorrectly. So I'll start the correct answer with 0. No answers answered yet. And I'll start the counter with 1. Because I'll be using the counter also to change the text on this button. You know, when it says display proverb number 1, but then it will display 2, and then 3, and 4. So I'll start with 1. Okay. So these are our form variables. So now we can go and display the proverbs. The way I'm going to be displaying them, again, I will be recalling an index, which will be the counter. The counter will be changing, increasing. It starts with 1, so that will be for the index, 1, but again, this is starting from 0. We have to keep that in mind. Arrays are 0 based. So in order to display, after I click the button, after I click the display proverb, it's the label proverbs text will equal, and now this is the proverbs. Over here is the counter. That's the index. We start with 1, but we'll have to do zeros. In other words, counter minus 1. We could start counter with 0, but then I would have to change that in the button. Otherwise, it would say display proverb 0. In any case, I would need to add or subtract 1 way or another. I decided to do it over here. So proverbs counter that 1, counter minus 1, which is this one, dot, this is important, substring, and the substring starts at 1 and goes all the way to the end. The reason we do it with substring is because we do not want to display the first letter. The first letter is simply an indication whether it's true or false. We want to display everything after this, which is substring with index 1. So this letter is index 0, so we go to index 1, which is basically the second letter, and display everything to the end of the string. So I can actually maybe even test that. If I now display the proverb, there you go, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and it's without the initial T in front of it. Now, when I click again, nothing happens because the counter equals 1, so it's displaying the same thing over and over again. What we need to do is increase the counter. If you do that and run it again, now with each click, the proverbs change. Like I said, I also want to change the text of the button. Right now it only says display proverb number 1, no matter how many times I click it. So over here, after we display the proverb, I will go and do button text. Button answer. That's the name of my button. Text equals display proverb number, and the number will be the counter. So let's try run it again quickly. So we got display proverb number 1. Oh, I got a wrong button. This is not the. See, this one's changing. It's supposed to be not button answer, but button display text. So display proverb number 1. It displays it. So, but it has a little delay there. So it actually goes after the counter is being increased. All right. So finally, that should work. Now see, like maybe you didn't notice. When I click it, when it displays, it says display proverb number 1. I click it, and now it says display proverb number 2. I click it, it's 3, 4, 5, so forth. Now when I click it again, now we get an error because there's only 7 of them, 7 of the elements in the array, but the counter now equals 8, so we are out of bounds. So, but that I will take care of. Now, I'll go over here and display answer. So after the user clicks display the display button, he will enter T or F in the text box, and then click display answer to verify whether it was correct or not. Now, in order for us to do that, I will only remember this one. The text box accepts only one character, one letter or one number. So I'm going to verify that it's only T or F. So if the text box answer, that's the text box that the user will write an answer to, dot text dot to upper. In other words, they will convert whatever is in the text box to an uppercase dot equals, and it equals T, or the text answer dot text to upper that equals F, then the user enters the correct letter. Basically what this does, the user enters, let's say lowercase t. The to upper will convert it to the uppercase t, and this equals to uppercase t will kind of compare it whether the text in the text box when uppercased equals to capital T, or it equals to capital F. We only accept, in other words, the text box will only expect T, lowercase t, capital T, or lowercase f, or capital F. If it's not, if it's something else, then we can do a message box. Please enter T or F. All right, so, but if the user entered T or F, now we'll evaluate whether his answer is the correct answer. So basically, we compare the text. We'll do another if statement. If the text answer that text again to upper that equals, and we are basically checking if it equals the first letter of that particular proverb. So if it equals to the proverbs of the counter index, that's the proverb that corresponds with the one that is being displayed, dot substring, and this time we start from the 0. If we start from the first letter or first character of the string, and we do one character only. We're only looking for the T or F at the beginning of each of the proverbs. So if that equals, oh, I'm sorry, I already did that. So if the text to upper equals to that, then we have a correct answer. And we can do something with that. I'm getting some error here. Let me just check it quickly. Oh, I'm missing a parenthesis there. Maybe not. Substring is not a member of Boolean. And I think that's because, yes, I got the bracket wrong. It's supposed to be here. Because we are evaluating this. This is one whole expression. In other words, if it equals to all this. Now, what it does is it checks the text in the text box, converts it to apple, sorry, to the uppercase, and then checks whether it equals to the, and it looks at the proverbs, which is our array, with the index of counter, which the first element will counter equals 1, so it will be this one. So we check the first index, the first element, but we don't check the whole thing. We only check the substring of it. And the substring is starts at 0, which is character 1, and we only take one character. So in other words, it starts at 1 and it ends at 1. It's we only check in the one character of that particular string. So if this is correct, if this equals, that basically means that the user answer and the actual correct answer match, and the user got the answer correct. So we can add 1 to correct answers. User entered 1 correctly. All right, so they will take care of the counter of our correct answers. Every time the answer is correct, we'll add 1 to it. So now we can go and display the text correct answer, which is the second text box, which by the way is read only because I don't want user to be able to modify that. This will display if the answer the user entered was correct, then this text will equal to correct. Else we will display over here, not this else. This else belongs to the outer if statement. We are inside of it. If over here we only check in if the user entered T or F, and if it is, then we'll check whether the answers match. But if they don't match, then our T correct answer the text equals incorrect, and will inform the user that the answer was wrong. So let's see if that works. So I'll display proverb number 1, and this is true, but I will answer F for false. It's a lowercase. If I click display answer, it should say incorrect, and it does. All right, so I'll display number 2, and now I'll do a correct answer, and it still displays incorrect, which is opposites attract is true, that is correct. Spare the rod and spoil the child, it's F for, that should be correct, which it is. This one is correct, but I'll leave it as F, so it should say incorrect. And it does. So why did I miss something? All right, so let's say true for the first one. Oh, I forgot to click the display answer. So I'll display this one, and it's true. I'll display the answer, and it says, yeah, correct. I'll display number 2, giving is better than receiving. I'll leave T as a correct, which should be correct. But it says incorrect, which is wrong. But it brings me to another thing. Over here, when I click display proverb, I want the user to first enter the answer before I move on. So what I'm going to do over here, I will disable the button and wait until the user actually enters his answer, which would be after the user clicks the button answer. We will do the we will enable it again, and we will enable it over here inside the if statement. Which would be over here. That display that enabled equals true. No matter whether the answer is correct or incorrect, we still want to enable the button for the next answer. So when I click it now, see it's not enabled anymore. If I click display answer without answering anything, it says please enter T or F. If I enter, let's say 1 or whatever 2, it still asks for T or F. So I'll answer T. Now when I click display, this should be now enabled. And it says correct and enables this one. So I'll do giving is better than receiving. I'll enter T. It should say correct, but it still goes incorrect. And I wonder why that is. And I'm going to do quick debug just over there. So I'll display proverb T, display answer, and it goes. So the answer is correct. This counter is, or the counter equals 2, which is wrong. This is our first one. Oh, I see what's happening there. Remember over here when I said we need to deduct 1 because it's 0 based? Well, we have to do it here too. So now it should actually work, hopefully. So if I enter T, display answer is correct. The second one, this one should still say correct, and it does. Number 3, opposites attract, which is still correct, and it still says incorrect now for opposite attract. There's some kind of a counter stuff going on that's out of whack, and I think I know why. We have the counter increase it in the button display click. In other words, every time we display the button or click the display button, the counter increases. So when we come over here, this counter is already increased by 1. So what we have to do, move this actually down here to right here. Okay, so let's try it again. Sorry about that. I guess this is the process of, nothing works the first time. So true, that's correct. Number 2, this one should be true, it's correct. Number 3, this one should be still correct, and it is. Number 4, this one should be false, but I leave it as true, so it should say incorrect, and it does. All right, so we're done. That seems to be working. Now, remember when we click the button too many times, we got out of bounds of the array. In other words, we need to check to make sure how many times the button was clicked, and if it was more than 7 times, because we have 7 elements, then we have to not allow any more clicks. Otherwise, we will encounter an exception. So over here, after the last click, if the counter is greater than 7, then we can ask, we can either quit or ask user if he wants to run again. That's what I'm gonna do. We will simply say message box, play again, like that. This will be message yes or no, and the title will be simply play again, play again. So the user will have an option to click yes or no, whether to play again, and we can capture the result, whatever the user wants to actually enter. So over here, I will do a click one dim. I'll call it result, a string, and I will assign it to this message box. So whether if user answer yes or no, the result will hold the answer. So inside of it, if result equals the message box button, no, it was a message box maybe. Let me try again. Over here, if what is the result dot. How was that? Result. Message bug result that equals yes. Let's, yeah, let's do yes. Then I have one more. This one is extra. I don't need wood. So actually, I don't even have to store it in anything. I will simply. Oh, I'm sorry. I deleted one and if, which was okay. I have it a little. I have to indent it a bit just so I know which one's which. This one there. It's kind of nested now. Anyway, if the user clicks yes, then we will want to play again. So our counter will now be reset to 1 again. Our button display that text will now equal the first text, which would be what was it? Display proverb number, display proverb number, and again it will be the counter. And we can do, I think that's all. Else, in other words, if the user doesn't want to play again, then our application dot exit will exit the app all the way. Now, one more thing we can do when we start the app, and I click this, I display answer. Well, I'm sorry, I'll answer it. It says correct. I display proverb number 2. I still have the text from before there, and I would like to probably just clear it out. So each time the user clicks the display button, will clear the text boxes. So the text box answer that text equals nothing. Oops. And the same with text box correct answer that text will equal empty as well. So now when I run it and I'll display the proverb, I'll enter my answer, click the answer, I got it correct. I display proverb number 2, and these are gone, but it's still, it seems like there was something wrong with the counter again. It says display proverb number 1. I click it. Now it should say actually display proverb number 2 when I click display answer. It should change the text of the button. So this one, the display proverb number counter, I will actually move down here after the user checks the answer. Then I will change the text on that button, which would be right. Oops, right here. So let's test that quickly. I think it's almost over. I promise. So this is true. I click false. It's correct, and it says proverb number 2 now. So I display proverb number 2. These are cleared. I enter my answer. Check the answer. It says correct. Changes the proverb number 3. I'll answer an incorrect answer just for fun. I'll check the answer. It says incorrect. Display proverb. And if I try to answer this is 6, this is 7. Now this was the last one. Now at the end it asks me play again, and if I click yes, it goes back to display proverb number 1. But again, we need to clear these text boxes over here as well. So I will do a text box. I'll answer that text. After if the user wants to play it again, we will clear the text boxes again. That text equals nothing. Now, remember, we are supposed to evaluate how many answers were correct. All right, that's why we were doing the counter for our correct answers. So we will do a little function, public function, I'll call it evaluate results. And here we will write the logic for how to evaluate it. Now we will pass, actually we don't have to pass anything, we will simply check the correct answers. Since this is a form level variable, this function has an access to it, and it keeps changing with each, we can add to it and within the program directly. It's not tied to one particular event or a function. So we can do our select case, and we will select case of correct answers. And if the case is 7, in other words, is all 7 were correctly answered, then we will write that what was it, perfect or something, perfect, yeah, just perfect. So we will write we will return a string that will say perfect, yeah, or perfect score, whatever. Now if the user had 5 or 6, so if case is greater or equal to 5, then we will return, and I think it says excellent. That's what they want us to use, yeah, excellent. All right. And finally, if it's less than that, so it's case else, we will return. And they want us to write, you might consider taking Psychology 101. So I'll just copy it and paste it into my string. Now the order is important. We check the first one. If it's 7, all these others are skipped. If it's not 7, it comes over here and it checks, is it greater or equal to 5? Yeah, so it can be only 5 or 6 because it checks 7 before and it's not that, so it could be only 5 or 6. It returns excellent. And finally, if neither of it is true, it goes to the last one and returns this one. So over here, when we encounter where our counter is greater than 7, means the game is over, all the proverbs were displayed and the answers checked, we can display a message. Over here where it says play again, we can actually display the result, one of these messages. And the way you do it, you simply, over here, the public function, I forgot to do a string. In other words, it returns a string. So before we ask to play again, we will display one of these messages, which simply would be evaluate results. We will call the function. We will also do vb new line, and on a new line we will display play again. So when we come over here and the counter is 7, again, means that all these were displayed and evaluated. I mean the answers were evaluated. So it displays this message with the result, whatever was returned from this function. In other words, it will say perfect score, and then on new line it will say play again, or it will say excellent, and on new line play again, or you might consider taking Psychology 101, and on new line play again. So let's test that, and that if it works, then that's that. Once again, it's a little longer. I'm really trying to explain, my thoughts, and so you can see where I'm coming from when I'm doing these exercises. So I display proverb number 1. I'll set true, correct. Display proverb number 2. I'll set true, correct. 3, true, it's correct. 4, I'll answer false, and it's correct. I'm trying to get the perfect score. So number 6, I'll answer true, that's correct. This one is flattery would be false, and that's correct. And finally, this one is true. And when I click it, I should get the pop-up message that say perfect score, play again, and I'll say yes. All right, so it goes back again. Display proverb number 1, and it did. Actually, over here, when we say yes, it automatically, we shouldn't display the proverb number 1 yet. We should wait until the user clicks it. So we have over here the counter. So our label proverbs text equals empty as well. That is if the user wants to play again. We won't display it yet. We wait until the user clicks the button, just like when the application starts. So we click it, true, display correct, true, correct, true, correct, false, correct, true, correct, false, that's correct, and finally this one's true. So now we get perfect score again, play again, I'll say yes, and it asks, this is like a blank form again. Display proverb number 1, I'll display it, and now I do false. Oh, incorrect. Display number 2, I do true, that's correct. This one's correct. I'm trying to get the second option, which is 5 to 6 correct. So proverb number 4, I'll display, and it's false. This one's true. This one's false, and this one's true. So when I click it, it should say excellent. We got a 6 correct, not 7. It's not a perfect score, but it's excellent. Play again. Let's try it again, and this time I'll do a bunch of them wrong, just to. This one should be correct, yeah. Just to get the last. It says, oh, it says excellent. It shouldn't say excellent. It should say. Maybe I did get 5 or correct. I don't think so. Did I? Let me do them again correctly. Jeez, so it's true, 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 false, true, false, true. So we got a perfect score. I'll play again, and now I'll do 1 wrong. Sorry, 1 wrong, 2 wrong, 3 wrong, 4, 5. Why does it say excellent? You know why? Because after the first run, we never reset the correct answers. The correct answers now actually equal 7. So it started, or whatever it was. We need to reset it at the end as well. So lastly, over here, correct answers equals 0. We start again from no correct answers. Oof, one more time. I hope this is gonna be it. I'll try to get a perfect score. True. I got a perfect score. I'll play again, and this time I'll try and do a bunch of them wrong. And now it finally says you might consider taking Psychology 101. Play again. I click no, and the app should actually quit, which it didn't. I'm not sure why. Oh, you know what? Never mind. I declared it as a string. It's not really a string. I'll declare it right here as the message box result. Message box result. So it's not the whole thing. It's just a message MSG box result. And over here we'll just do else, and then we will quit. Okay. Let's try it. I promise this is final time. I don't feel like doing it again. Okay, so we got the result, and click no, and it exits. Man, so this piece of code took me longer than the whole freaking thing to code. Oh, I forgot the syntax for a bit. So it's MSG box result that yes or not. I don't know. Oof. All right. So anyway, here you have it. It seems to be working now. It's not that difficult. I mean, if you don't know anything about arrays, you may not do totally understand what was going on here with the counter -1 here, and the whole index stuff. But I still hope it helped you, and I'll see you next time.